does your body feel like in zero gravity?
What inspires you to become an astronaut?
What exercise do you do, and do you sweat in space?
Would a yo-yo work in microgravity?
So it works.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Station is ready for the event.
Eisenhower Presidential Library, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Eisenhower Presidential Library.
Eisenhower Presidential Library, welcome aboard the International Space Station.
My name is Cooper, and my question is, what type of experiments are you doing, and what is your favorite?
We have over 200 experiments occurring on any given day here on the International Space Station. I'm involved in a lot of them, but my favorite thus far has been right down here in the Japanese lab. I am helping some researchers on Earth grow some plants to get an idea of how this environment can affect plant growth. Growing plants is really important if we want to head out into the solar system.
My name is Brooklyn. My question is, can you see Hawaii volcano eruptions from space?
Yes, both during the day you can definitely see the plumes of ash and smoke leaving the island, and it can stretch. I saw one day it was kind of clear in this plume that must have gone for 1,000 miles. But at night, you just see this little glowing ball on the Pacific Ocean, and when you look with a pair of binoculars, you can actually see the individual lava flows. It's quite impressive.
My name is Porter, and my question is, what does it feel like to walk in space?
I think you're talking about outside the International Space Station, and it's a pretty interesting experience. If you can imagine just holding on to something that's with your hand that's going over 17,000 miles an hour and look down and at your feet, and the only thing you see below your feet is the Earth spinning beneath you. It's a pretty impressive way to spend 6 hours.
My name is Grayson. My question is, what is the craziest or most interesting weather situation you have witnessed from space?
Well, you know, we're coming up on hurricane season, and I've seen one big typhoon when I first arrived here in the Indian Ocean. But I actually flying down not far from you, and you guys are very familiar with this. One evening, coming across Oklahoma and the panhandle of Texas, just these massive anvil clouds that surely were generating tornadoes below. We can't see the tornadoes, but just by the sheer size of the clouds and the lightning strikes, you knew something really amazing and scary was happening below.
My name is Benedict, and my question is, are you able to talk with your daughters while you're in space, and if so, how often?
Thanks for asking that. Not enough. I do get to talk to them. They have things going on. We're kind of on London time, and they're back in the U.S., so that time difference makes it a little bit hard. I could talk to them every day if we both had the time, but I get to video conference with them once a week, which I really look forward to, and I try to call them a couple times during the week just to check in and let them know I miss them and care about them.
Hello, my name is Niko. My question is, what is the hardest part of your space training?
There's two ways to answer that. One of our training involves a lot of travel and sort of away from home a lot, and that is challenging. Another thing that is difficult for I think most of us is we have to learn a lot of things, and you just got to accept some things you're going to be better at than others, and that's okay as long as you're giving your best effort. So we all want to do things really well, and we want to do them perfectly, but there are times you just got to say, hey, this is good enough, and that is good enough, and be content with the job you did.
My name is Aiden. My question is, who or what inspired you to teach science around the world?
I was really fortunate growing up. I grew up in Maryland, and I had some amazing teachers in the public schools and universities in Maryland. And so I would say the teachers who invested time and energy in me, trying to get me to figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up, and being patient with me and giving me some ideas, really, I think, said a bit that when I started thinking about a career, it just seemed like something that was terribly interesting and important to do, and it is. I think it's the single most important job there is.
My name is Joshua, and my question is, how does it feel to be in microgravity, and what is your favorite move? A flip, spin, fly like Superman, can you show us?
I think the Iron Man move is the best. Yeah, we just never get tired of doing things like that. It's a lot of fun.
My name is Daniel, and what did you learn as a Boy Scout that helped you as a teacher and as an astronaut?
Two words: be prepared. In both of those careers, you just have to be ready for things as they occur, and be ready for things that you don't anticipate occurring. And I think in both of those jobs, those are really, really important. Both of those jobs, it's a really, really important skill.
My name is Simon, and my question is, what supplies did SpaceX bring you?
Thousands of pounds of science equipment and experiments. It'll also bring up food for some of us. It'll bring up maybe some letters from home. It'll bring up supplies for the space station. And there's a rumor out there that maybe even a little bit of ice cream made the journey to outer space for us. So everyone is really excited about that.
My name's Gavin, and my question is, how did being a teacher help prepare for being an astronaut?
I really appreciate you asking that question. Watch your teacher at work one day and see all the things they are juggling at once to provide you and all your classmates with the education that you need. And you just need to be able to balance a lot of things and keep a lot of balls in the air and not let any of them drop. And that's very similar to your job up here. There's a lot going on. It's a very busy place. There's a lot of demands on your time. And that skill of being able to just kind of focus on a lot of things simultaneously and not let anything fall through the cracks, I think translates very well between the two jobs.
Bye, Superdad.
Hi, my name is Jackson. My question is, what is it like living on the ISS? And is it hard to eat peas in space?
The ISS is a pretty fun place to live. I'm up here with a great crew, really great people. We have great people on the ground that we get to work with every day. As far as peas, it is the same eating peas on Earth as it is in space, because I don't like eating peas. So I haven't eaten them on the Earth. I don't eat them on Earth, and I don't eat them up here. However, like I have peanuts, which are very similar to peas. And someone asked about Hawaii. This is actually a macadamia nut. So playing with your food in space is a little bit more fun than on Earth.
My name is Ryan. My question is, how do you get internet phone in space without wires?
Yeah, we send it up at radio signals up to the International Space Station and have antennas outside that help us do that. We don't have really good internet access up here. We do get email regularly, which is really nice. And what internet access we do have, it enables us to make phone calls home. And you can kind of check a little bit on the internet to see what's going on. But I've also found it's something I haven't really missed that much.
My name is Harton. My question is, how did you have to learn Russian to communicate with the Russian cosmonauts on the space station?
Yeah, so yeah, language is only part of it. We do need to learn to speak Russian, and our cosmonauts learn to speak English. However, you know, to really work with someone and live with them, you have to understand more than the language. You have to understand the culture. So we spend a lot of time in Russia, and also we go to Japan. We spend time in Germany with our European colleagues training. And so it's being able to communicate, but it's also being able to understand, you know, the differences and to be able to celebrate the differences. I was down in the Russian segment yesterday, and when Russia won their World Cup match, and it was great celebrating that with Sergei. I don't watch a lot of soccer, but he was very excited about it, and it was really fun to be there. So language is a piece of it, but just getting to know the people and what they value is a really important thing here. I think it's also really important on Earth.
My name is Chase. My question is, do you get to take along and play your guitar on the space station?
It's really expensive to launch stuff into space. So rather than having us bring up our individual musical instruments, we have actually 2 guitars on the International Space Station, which we can use and play whenever we want, hopefully not disturbing our crewmates too much. And sometimes we'll get together and play together on a weekend night or sitting around on a weekend. So it's nice having that as a way to relax up here.
My name is Sean. My question is, do you do any tests or work with the Mars Exploration Rover from the space station?
It's an interesting question, and we have done some experiments. I think actually our European friends actually have an experiment where you're controlling a rover down on the ground, a simulated Martian rover. Obviously, that's important. That you're asking a great question and thinking great ideas. When we go out into the solar system, from wherever we are, it's going to be a human robotic component to all of our exploration, and being able to communicate with them from far away while we're there with them is really important. So we are working on developing that technology up here. Absolutely.
My name is Gavin, and my question is, how long does it take to get to the moon?
Yeah, the moon's a lot farther than you think, and that's an interesting thing to do at home or in your classroom, is to make a scale model of where the International Space Station is compared to Earth and where the moon would be. I think you'd be surprised at the relative distance. The moon looks almost identical where we are as it does to you on Earth, particularly on a clear night. You really couldn't tell the difference. We're very close to Earth. and we get to low Earth orbit in about 8.5 minutes. The astronauts who went to the moon, it took about 4 days to get there. So it's quite an undertaking. It's one we want to make again, and then heading off into Mars, you're talking about half a year or more to get there. So the journey out into the solar system is a complicated one, but I look forward to us and our international partners doing it one day.
My name is Tommy. My question is, what are your favorite views of Earth from the space station?
There are so many. It's always great to see my home state of Maryland from space. Two really amazing passes are down the west coast, California, along Baja, Mexico, and then down across Peru and Chile and Argentina. That's just a fabulous view of all those wonderful places. And also this morning, as we were watching SpaceX catch up to the International Space Station, we flew right over the Alps, straight down Italy, across Greece, and then down across the Nile Delta and the Red Sea, and that was just absolutely phenomenal as well. The Earth, the view of our home planet never gets old.
My name is Wyatt. My question is, how long does it take to go through all the training to become an astronaut on the space station? What kind of training do you have to do?
So when you first get hired as an astronaut, you train for about 1.5 years, 2 years, just to learn space systems, aircraft systems, a lot of different things that we do. And then when you are lucky enough to get assigned to an expedition to the International Space Station, you could spend up to 2.5 years training. We have to learn space station systems. We have to learn, frequently you don't have a doctor up here. We have to learn medical skills. We have to learn how the scientific equipment works. We have to learn how to repair things on the ISS. We have to learn how to do spacewalks. We have to learn to fly the robotic arm. We need to learn to speak Russian. So as I was saying earlier, you know, you have to accept your limitations as a person, know some things you're going to be great at, some things you're only going to be adequate at, and be happy with that just as long as you know you're doing your best.
Hi, my name is Christian, and my question is, how long does it take the space station to circle Earth, and when do you sleep?
We go around the Earth we see 16 sunrises and sunsets a day. So we go around the Earth in about 90 minutes. So it's pretty fast. And we are on, as I said earlier, we're on Greenwich Mean Time. So we're going to bed just about the same time people in London are going to sleep and waking up about the same time. We kind of stay on that schedule. People in Houston, when we're working with them, they have to get up early in the morning. Folks in Russia are a little bit happier because when we're waking up, it's not too far away from the time they're waking up. But the control centers around the world all work on London time because that's what we're doing here on ISS.
My name is Darius, and my question is, how long have you been on the space station, and when do you get to come home?
We have been here since about the March 20-something, 23rd, I think we arrived, and so we're over halfway, and we've been up here just over 100 days, and we'll go home in less than 100 days. So our stay here will be just short of 200 days, and we should land in early October.
My name is Joseph, and my question is, when did you know you wanted to be an astronaut, and who or what inspired you?
I was always really interested in the space program growing up, and it was always something that fascinated me. You know, I was a science and math teacher. I really wasn't on that career path, although I had the science background to apply for the job. And when I saw that NASA was interested in hiring people out of the field of education who had a science background or a math background or an engineering background, I felt like I owed it to myself to apply and see what happened. I always told my students, you know, don't be afraid to at least try. The worst that's going to happen is someone's going to tell you no, and you can keep trying and trying and trying again. And I was very fortunate to get the opportunity to come to NASA and to fly in space a couple times.
We got word that that's our last question for you. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. It was wonderful spending some time with you. Wish you all the best this summer, and thank you for joining us on the International Space Station. So long.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all the participants from Eisenhower Presidential Library Station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.